What's up guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to bitcoineasy.io and welcome back to another Bitcoin analysis where we find Bitcoin in a key spot right now, right between the support level to continue in this current uptrend here locally or to get back down to the support of the trend. I already updated you on everything this morning here over on X, so make sure to always follow over there. This is how you get the fastest updates. And yeah, every time I post a video, I continue with my analysis over there. I also posted some other stuff there yesterday, talking about the extremely dangerous knife catching activities that I've been seeing from new traders posting over on X, where they're just basing their trades fully on trend lines. And yeah, I gave you a little lesson about trend lines here, so if you want to check that out as well, and of course I always let you know when there's new videos coming out. And now let's go into the charts and look at these key spots that I just spoke about here. Take out the oscillators for now, we'll get back to them in a second. And here's the key levels that I mentioned in my post over on X earlier today. So this 86K area here, right, is very, very important for Bitcoin to find a bounce in, due to the fact that we find the key support here, right? We see that the 38.2 of this Fibonacci retracement coming from the swing low to the current swing high here is there, lining up with the key horizontal level, of course, coming from historic support and resistance as well as the previous highs here. So really, really strong consolidation area after a bit of a pullback. And if we can now bounce back up here and challenge the previous high, then of course this becomes our target here, 89,300, an area that we spoke about for the last week or so as a key target here, since it shows up with a very strong resistance over on the daily chart, for example, as well on the larger time frames, right? So this is the key area that needs to hold here for us to extend this rally here. If we start breaking below here, then of course the support comes into play, and there is exactly the level of 84,500 till about 83,800. This is where we can shoot a wick down to. Of course, we can go a bit lower as long as we close back above the trend line here, and this trend line here is confirmed by the horizontals. Of course, we don't just draw up trend lines and hope they help. That's what I spoke about in that video. If you want to check that out, and it's available on the X page, like I said. And there we see that we have not only this key horizontal level from where we identified the breakout the other day, right, where we saw that we have extremely strong resistance throughout the entire range here, right at 84,500 here on a 6-hour closing basis. The moment we closed this candle above here, we had a strong indication that we're challenging at least the previous high here and getting back to our resistance of this ascending channel here as well. And that's exactly what we did, right? So there you see it once again. If this breaks here, then the likelihood is that we come down here. And then, of course, if this breaks here, then the likelihood is that we come down here. I marked out the areas for you guys, and this is where it becomes really interesting here for the short to mid-term for Bitcoin. And the area above here is where it becomes really interesting for the short to long-term for Bitcoin. We don't want to talk about the bearish scenario for the long-term for Bitcoin quite yet. So yeah, guys, I hope these levels are here very clear. Here's the line in the sand, basically 86,500. We don't want to start closing below there, or then we would see ourselves down here. And if that breaks, then of course, once again, we get down here. So these are the key areas, and these show up as well across the time frames here. On the smaller time frames, you can see everything looks exactly the same. We're challenging the previous high here. We can break above it here, then we have indication that we're going up to the current high. If we break that, then we have another point here to challenge at the resistance line. That of course comes with strong historic resistance as well. That becomes much clearer in a second on the daily chart. And then for our smallest time frames, for the 2-hour chart, we can see here that we already confirmed this here. Basically, we broke above the previous high here, and now we're looking for backup from the 4-hourly chart and the 6-hourly chart on the closing basis to indicate that we have another push here within this uptrend, right? And yeah, guys, that's basically it here. This is the same thing down here. This key area down here between 85K and 84K basically is also the line in the sand here on the 4-hourly chart. It's actually drawn incorrectly here. We can pull that up a little bit. Gives us a bit too much generosity here from this line, but somewhere around here, right? This is the likely area that we can even wick down to, and then we want to close above all this here to stay in this trend. So yeah, guys, now we look at some oscillators before I go into the larger time frames, and then we can see that, for example, on the 2-hour chart, we see that the stochastic momentum down here entered the oversold territory. So that is indicating, of course, that we're close to the bottom of this pullback right now and are attempting another move to the upside. coming out of this range here, especially if we turn back over the -40 level, then we have strong indication that we're trying to move further up here. But once again, guys, my bias is still that we're getting rejected here in the area between 89 and 90k, and 89,300 specifically is a very, very tough resistance level that of course lines up here as well with the resistance of this ascending channel, right? And yeah, guys, the same here for the RSI. It bounced off the middle band, so interesting to see now if it can turn up and then get back here over to the overbought territory, and then we would of course meet all this resistance there simultaneously, and then it becomes a really, really challenging area to get through. And let's continue with looking at some oscillators here. We can see mixed feelings on the 4-hourly chart. The stochastic momentum is coming out of the overbought territory, so falling below here is strong indication that the price is trying to get down again, as we can see here within this range as well. Every time we came out of the oversold territory, that's when we started or were already within our downfall here to back to the range support, right? And there you can see it here in this case, broke down from there. In this case as well, we continued here a little bit sideways, but eventually found our support here of this ascending channel in alignment with some key levels here as well. Same thing here. We were already close to the bottom by the time we came out of this area. And now here we of course in a key spot. If we can see this turn back up, then it aligns with what we see here on the RSI, which is still turned up and looking for a higher low here and the potential move towards overbought territory again, right? So got to keep an eye on all this stuff here, and especially if we can now confirm a break above the previous high here, above this gray box here, then we have a strong indication that we're testing the previous highs once again here. 6-hourly chart looking similar. RSI bouncing off the moving average and pointing upwards, while the stochastic momentum is headed downwards from the overbought territory. Of course, if we now lose this level here, all this stuff will turn down as well, and then the likelihood is that we get down to the support level. So really the key level that you want to watch before you watch any oscillators, as always guys, I tell you, focus on the price action, focus on what happens here in this key area. If we start breaking down from it, then of course the likelihood is here that we continue downwards towards this circle area here. That of course makes a lot of sense on the daily chart as well. As you see, these resistance areas line up here perfectly also on the daily chart. Here, of course, we find the previous low here from January, the January low, right at 89,300 as well. And there we also have the trend line from this descending channel here, or this falling wedge, however you want to look at it, lines up perfectly with what we just saw there on the 4-hourly chart. And then to the support side here as well, right? We see here that we're trying to consolidate above the previous high. Same thing that we saw on the smaller time frames earlier. So this line here becomes really interesting. Once we start closing below it, then it brings in this area here. And here, ideally, if we get down here to this key area, 84,200 roughly, that's where we want to bounce. This is previous strong support and resistance throughout the entire range down here, right? And that's a key spot then, of course, also for the uptrend here to continue. But really want to find a bounce here and close back above the 200 SMA here on the daily chart. That has been a key support and resistance here as well. So ideal what we want to see here is a bounce from this circle here basically, and then close back above the 200-day SMA here and continue upwards from there. That would be the bullish scenario. Of course, if we fall below it and close below it and then get close to that area and also close below that, then our previous lows come into play, that box here. And that becomes really interesting since we have our key target area that we've been talking about here since end of January, beginning of February really, 74 to 72k, that then of course would turn into strong support and has a lot of confluence and different indicators supporting it over on the larger time frames that we will see in a second. So yeah guys, keep those numbers in mind here as well. On the daily chart, right above 87k is where we want to stay above here on a closing basis. Our resistance, key resistance here, where I start pivoting for the long term, is right at 89,300. And then if we get above there and reclaim here 92k on a daily closing basis, then I'm pivoting guys. Then we are looking for confirmation up there. And if we find that confirmation, then especially on a weekly closing basis and so on, then we have clear indication that the bull market continues and that we're challenging the previous highs. But for now guys, still the same thing. Either the top is in right here, right at 88,800, right below the target that we mentioned throughout the last week of 89k, or we going right up here to 89,300, find a rejection there and then come back down from there. That's the most likely scenario for Bitcoin right now, that we get rejected here in this current area. And then yeah, of course guys, this here is the key support level that we want to hold on a closing basis, 85,300 roughly. That's where the 200 SMA here is on the daily chart. That's where we want to close above. Right guys, now let's look at the key area down here. for a second, you can see here this is where our lows come from. So this would of course be a target area here for a double bottom formation, but potentially we then go down lower here to the 74 and 72k range. The key thing is what we see on the weekly chart, right? Here we see all that support that's waiting for us in this area. So we have the big Fibonacci retracement here, this one here, coming from the bear market lows of 50,500, going up to our current all-time high of 109,400. And there we can see the 38.2, the strongest retracement level usually in a massive uptrend, lining up here with this previous supply area that then should become therefore really strong support. And apart from that, we also have from this Fibonacci retracement here coming from the previous range low to the current high, the 61.8. So two key Fibonacci levels lining up here. And of course, just above it, the 50-week SMA, the one indicator that always confirmed that we went into a bear market once we put in a new all-time high and then ended up closing below it. Right guys, that's it for me for today. As far as YouTube goes, of course, my analysis always continues over on X, so make sure to follow over there as well. And of course, if you appreciated this video and my analysis and you're new to the channel, then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified whenever I update new videos. Currently, it's been every single day, and I don't plan to change that at the moment unless something major comes up. I really want to keep you updated, guys. And of course, right guys, that's it for me for today as far as YouTube goes. Of course, my analysis always continues over on X, so make sure to follow over there as well. And guys, if you're new to the channel, warm welcome first of all. Make sure to follow, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you like what you see here. I'm updating every day currently, so you get my analysis in the morning usually every single day for now. I'm not planning to change that. And then of course the short-term updates always over on X. Maybe I look at Bitcoin dominance over there as well. There's been some really interesting developments since my last video, since the last time I spoke about it. I actually think I mentioned it yesterday as well in yesterday's YouTube video. So if you want, you can just check that out or go over on X. A couple of days ago, I posted a 3-minute video there looking basically at all the interesting timeframes. And if you want to see what's going on over there and how that developed, then turn on the notifications over as well on my X account, of course, bitcoineasy.io there as well, and also Pat Does Crypto. And this is how you get the fastest updates all around the clock. Right guys, I'm headed out now. Gonna enjoy the sunshine, hit the gym, and as always, happy trading and see you soon.